Okay, 7 months later and $10,000 to spare, there we are. Looked pretty much just like it did before we got started. Here's some of the pictures of the rehab. Okay, now here are the numbers. I just wanted to share this with you to give you some perspective. We purchased that house for $36,000. It had $40,000 worth of fire damage. So basically, it was a total loss from our insurance company. This was my very first house, you guys, in real estate. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that. The repair costs were $30,000, believe it or not. We rebuilt that house practically from the ground up for $30,000. So I had $10,000 left to spare from my insurance company. At that time, I refinanced it for 80% of the loan-to-value at $66,000, which gave me a $425 monthly payment, PITI, which stands for Principal, Interest, Taxes, and Insurance. Okay, so I got a $30,000 tax-free refinance profit plus my $10,000 from the fire. Today, that house rents for $800 a month, and my cash flow is $375 a month. So it recently appraised in the low 80s. So I'm still sitting on $20,000 plus in equity, which isn't a bad deal for something that I basically put 10% down on when I started. I put $3,600 down. So quite a return. Yes, the fire was a horrible thing, but, all in all, at the end of the day, it actually ended up being not so bad after this was all done. Now, this is a $30,000 tax-free refinance profit, and I just wanted to clarify, loan proceeds, when you refinance, are not taxable. So that's been a way that we've been able to make steady checks, larger checks, and not be taxed, unlike some of our wholesale deals that we do each year that, we were taxed on, obviously. So great strategy, works quite well. Here's another one that we did. This house is on Lewis. Again, this is in St. Louis. You can see some of the before and afters. Just wanted to share with you guys some of the, kind of give you an idea of what our rehabs look like. We typically spend about $5,000 to $15,000 on rehab. That's not money that we actually pay for. We use our hard money or private money lenders or construction lending loans to pay for the rehab. So don't be thinking, well, I've got to come up with the money to rehab. That's absolutely not the case. Something that we did on this house that we've made a lot of money, write this down. We look for houses. I mean, obviously, everybody chases the 3 1s, the 3 2s, the 4 2s. Everybody out there chasing the same things. We said, well, what about all these 1-bedroom houses or these small 2-bedroom houses that nobody's looking at? And what we started doing is we started looking for the large 1-bedroom homes or the large 2-bedroom homes that had large square footage that we could convert to a 3, or convert to a 4, add a bedroom, add a bath. And no appraiser, no underwriter can argue that if you add a bedroom or a bath that it's not worth more. That's a strategy that's made us hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars in our career. This right here looks a little messy. This is actually the room that we took out this boiler system, this boiler heating system, covered up the windows, divided this room into 2, and made it into 2 smaller bedrooms that still had windows at least 70 square feet so they could meet code requirements. And we put a closet in back over here. So that increased our value quite a bit. Here you can see the numbers on this property. We purchased it for $41,000. Our repair costs were $9,000. Our holding costs were $4,000. So, in other words, it took a couple of months for us to basically get this rehabbed, get it going, and get it refinanced. So this is our holding cost, and we refinanced for $86,000. So that gave us a $575 monthly payment. That was principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Our tax-free refinance profit was $32,000. And today it rents for $900 a month. So again, we're cash flowing upwards of $300 per month on that little $41,000 home. So these are the kind of deals that we're doing day in, day out. We did them years ago. We do them now. So there's, again, the classics in America, the bread and butter type properties. This is a single-family home, same place, St. Louis, that we did. We actually had bought a property and sold a property and did a 1031 exchange, and we purchased several at one time. And this was one that I didn't have a lot of time for. And I was approached by another investor that said, hey, I'd like you to assign this contract to me. I own another one down the street. I'll give you $5,000. He spent $10,000 on the rehab, and he sold it 3 months later for $95,000. So yes, he made the lion's share of the profit, but, this was my first introduction to something that I'd never heard of. I'd never assigned or wholesaled or flipped a deal before. We went on to do 41 of those same deals that same year. To date, we're doing anywhere between 30 and 50 wholesale or assignment deals per year. So whether you're a buy and hold type person or you're looking to wholesale deals for quicker cash, this system will work for you. And it's the same exact thing that, we're basically sharing our knowledge with what we've learned in the business on how to do this. So not bad. That's kind of what one of those looks like, 48, 41, 55. So after taxes or after holding costs, a little shy of $5,000 payday is not bad for something that you basically sign your, name on a paper and sign your name on another set of papers a couple of weeks later. This was a fourplex that we did. We purchased this for $36,000. We sold it for $60,000 a month later. We spent $4K in rehab. We spent $1,000 or 2 units in the front, 2 units in the back, and we spent $1,000 basically on each door. We ended up with a $20,000 profit for 1 month's worth of work. Here are what some of the pictures look like. Looks kind of nasty, but you know what, guys? This is a tub enclosure down here. This is some kills and some paint, some carpet and some flooring. The biggest expense was one unit didn't have a kitchen. That was our biggest expense. And there's the check for that amount, just under shy of $20,000 for a month's worth of work. These are the kind of things that we can basically teach you how to take, if you have 4 to 6 weeks worth of time when you start, you can make anywhere from, I would say, 5 on average for a wholesale deal. And some of you may be saying, you know what, I make way more of that on my wholesale deals. That's fine. But you know what we've been able to do is create a pipeline of cash so that every week we have a check popping. And to me, that was more important. And I see in being a trainer for the past 5 years that that's more important to people than maybe having one great big check. One great big check is nice, on the buy and the hold, or if you refi or buy, fix, and sell. But those little checks, those $3,000 to $7,000 checks on the wholesale end of things, coming in every week or every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks, that's really something that, I think that most people today would love to be able to count on, be able to quit their jobs. Don't run out and quit your job until you have that pipeline full and running, but this is something that, again, we're going to kind of show you how we've been able to do this. Here was our first commercial purchase. A lot of you, I'm sure, are interested in commercial real estate investing, which we've actually segued into commercial, but we'll always do in our homes. Our single-family homes are our bread and butter. We're now doing apartments, self-storage, land, all sorts of fun projects, and this was our first introduction to commercial investing. This was a no-money-down deal for me, okay? It was a 32-unit apartment complex and a house. Here's the house. And these 3 buildings are part of the 32 units. I purchased this with no money out of my pocket. I actually got $600 back at close. Here's what the numbers look like on that property. The 32 unit we purchased for $580,000. This property brought in $13,000 a month. Okay, we sold it because it had tons of deferred maintenance. It had never been exterminated since 1955, believe it or not. So what we did is we went out and we posted it. The day we put it under contract, we posted it on YahooGroups.com under a few of the different, there's like 18,000 different real estate groups there. If you were to go to YahooGroups.com and type in real estate, there's about 18,000 groups or so, maybe 17,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. We had 6 written contracts within the same day. We sold it a month later for $795,000. A lot of people say, where did you get that price? Well, honestly, at that time, didn't know any better. We pulled it out of thin air. Our banker was telling us it was worth upwards of $1 million if it were fixed up. So, long story short, our buyer didn't close on time. We tried to do a simultaneous close. It didn't work out. So we incurred some holding costs. And so what we did is we went back to our buyer, and this works really well, you guys. Write this down. We went back to our buyer. When your buyer doesn't close, you can go back to your buyer and say, we'll extend your closing by X number of months. For us, we said, we'll give you 3 more months to close it, get new financing. But what we'd like you to do is overnight us a check for $20,000. If you notice here, we're going to change the sales price from $795 to $815. However, we used an addendum to do that on the contract. However, that $20,000 difference, we'd like you to FedEx us a cashier's check. Just in case it doesn't close, again in 3 months, we haven't lost. We're at least covering our holding costs. and making a little bit of money for the time that we're giving you. So sure enough, the next day, FedEx knocks on our door, and we got a check for $20,000, and 3 months later, they did close.